What's up, family? This is your man, not your boy. Go Black to Africa. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you all. For those who are out there in the West, I say keep your eyes up and keep your head down. There is a new Black community in town. Yeah, I'm back in the motherland where I feel free, liberty, that I am able to not have to look behind my back. I'm back in Africa where I don't have to wonder who's going to shoot up a place, what mass shooting some white person going to do, what our young Black folks are going to do if I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time. But it is nothing but a joy that I don't really have to deal with that, y'all. For real, for real. And that's not to try to on what's going on in damn Erica, put the D in front of America, capitalize the E, damn Erica. But I want to give you all food for thought, and I'm going to show a video and just kind of show you all what's really going down. Many of you all may not be privy to all the news in all the states there in America. I happen to have at least 2 to 3 news channels for each state that I kind of watch to get the pulse of the crime that's going on, the people, the morale, and so that I can report that over to you all. Let me get some shout outs out here as people are coming in. Nothing great than to just really speak out to you all who have joined my channel, those who have been walking with me for these last 2.5 years. Give me a shout out as well. Tell me where you are right now so I can go ahead and return the love that each and every one of you all deserve. So peace and blessings out here to Boom Boom Baby. All the things people say that goes on, I only see it on TV. Yeah, TV, is just one small portion. You only get a glimpse. Sometimes, you don't get everything that goes on. And cities are large, states are large. And just because something happened in the city don't mean that the whole place is on fire. So I typically keep that in mind when I travel, Exodus 8, shalom to you. Isotope space. Peace and blessings to you as you all come in. I hope that your day is prosperous. What do y'all think? In Chicago, we have had, there must be a delay. Y'all got to forgive my delay. I'm all the way over here in Africa, and I'm back to the slow as molasses internet, or slow as a snail, and getting uploads, downloads, and pushing out there. Not to say that, every place is like that, but boy, I tell you, it's pretty eye-opening when I get back here in Africa, in some countries, some places that I find that the internet, Wi-Fi will be slow. Cal is from Philly. Cal Bundy, Philly. All righty. Peace and blessings to you. Azaria, son of Dodd. Okay. Was that Ocala, Florida. Ocala, Florida. Who else we got here? We got Eero Taylor, Nottingham, England, Robin Hood County. Shalom to Odelia. Shalom to you, Atlanta, Georgia. Jennifer Jones. This team takeover thing is horrible and embarrassing. What's embarrassing about it? Those maybe who look like you. There were some white folk out there too. Grounded Roots is in ATL. What's going on? Gontolga. Well, I tell you, y'all making this hard for me to pronounce these names. Excuse me if I mess up your name. I speak English. Flo Smith from London. Ave, or is that Ave? Okay. I look different. Yeah, I shaved my beard off. I'll be growing it back here shortly. Joe Bean from South Kakalaki. Let's see who else we got in the house. Shilomith Michael, Brooklyn, New York. We got Bobby T in the house from Altam Altama boy Springs, Florida. Altamonte Springs, Florida. Woo! OE Mac from OKC. We got Eldelia. You hold on. Who's that? Oh no, that's Abdulaziz. Abdul Abdulaziz. Man, I tell you what, y'all making me sound like I'm illiterate on these names right here. Coming from Nigeria, Abdulaziz. Yes, Susan Frank coming from Germany. Shalom to you. Hello, how are you? Hailing from Birmingham, UK, says Tuko Pomoja. Tuko Pomoja. Okay, all right. We are together. All right. I know a little Swahili. Tuko Pomoja. Earl Manker, Philadelphia. Latoya B. YTF. Latoya from ATL, Georgia. Yeah, family. What do y'all think? You know, I wanted to go ahead and do this video because I think the conversation, I'm going to invite some of you all who want to call in and share what's going on in your city. Share, have you seen this degradation of the children today? Share, do you see the change from when you were coming up and how these children are today? I'm gonna also leave you all with some ancient writings, some scrolls, some scriptures that talks about where we are today, about the children disobedience to sound doctrine, sound elderly or wisdom counsel, or even obeying parents. Now, I can't blame it on the kids because I'm gonna tell you, parenting is the lack thereof. So we got to take a responsibility as the adults because mama's trying to do what they want, trying to do, raise these kids. Daddies are out there somewhere doing their thing. Where two collectively should come together. I think even if you don't even can get along, can you at least come together and say, let's look out for the best of our child? You know, I mean, there are, but I have to understand there are people who are bitter, disgruntled. Maybe baby came out about, didn't plan, some accident happened, she didn't tell you, you know, she forgot the pill, you know, whatever the case may be. But can we still put the children in the forefront? Because they're the future. I'm telling y'all right now, y'all see it already. Things just don't get better. It will never get better. That's written already. But, you know, let me play the video of what happened over in Chicago. If you all have not seen it, let me share my screen here. And, you know, it's sad. It's sad that we are living in a day where we see these children who are acting out off because a lack of order, structure, order, and discipline. They're not receiving it at home. They're not getting this at home. And this is true. I'm not going to say all. Everybody, you know, I know there are parents out here who are trying to do their best. But this world, this system of kids, this peer pressure is out of control. Let's see if we can get us. These are young adults too, y'all. These are not just kids. These are young adults in their 20s, mid 20s. Heck, some might be close to daggone in their 30s.
Crew who's involved.
Well, it was supposed to
multiple different
go.
Anthony Frazier. In January, Frazier's family was
okay. This doesn't skip my whole thing. I had it laid out how I wanted this thing to show. It had about 4 clips. Let me see what this right here.
Crew who's involved in multiple different offenses.
Back on December 3rd, a crew of 4 targeted Williams as he left his favorite popcorn store at Western and 118th Street in Morgan Park. Williams fired at the 3 suspects that jumped out of a car. They fired back, hitting him. He later died at the hospital. Larry James owns Let's Get Poppin'.
Okay, that was another one.
Anthony Frazier. In January, Frazier's family was desperate for answers. The young boy was shot and killed while visiting his aunt in North Charlotte, a heartbreaking case that investigators said was a top priority. Yesterday, police said 19-year-old Mangasha Clark is charged with his murder. And
See if we can continue on. There was 4 clips
Morning,
that they
Megan. Morning, Chris.
showed.
This was a case that shocked a lot of people. A couple of teenage girls found murdered in a park back in October. Well, now KTLA has learned through a police source that police have made an arrest. They've arrested a 17-year-old boy who once dated at least one of the girls.
But these right here, these are things that's happening right here in your neck of the
And our
woods.
hearts and prayers going out to the families of Valerie and Doris.
I guess 2 white females.
Well, these are new pictures just into the 7 newsroom of that arrest yesterday, taken by detectives.
So all right. Did y'all see that? Somebody said, you won't find me in Chicago. This ain't just Chicago. This is everywhere, y'all. This is everywhere. This is, I'm gonna put the link in, because there was just a murder at a birthday party, 4 people, mass murder shooting, 4 people killed, 15 wounded in Alabama. And you know, this whole thing is out of control. This whole thing is bringing is destroying the youth. The youth are rising and they are getting out of control to where cities are trying to figure out, what do we do? There's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can do. This is the new future, you all, that many are going to have to live with and deal with. The sad part about it is your children and your grandchildren are going to be going through this. They're going to be going through this. Y'all can call in. The link is in the chat, because I was on the plane here when I arrived this morning here in Ghana, and I was talking to 4 people, Ghanaians, in the airport there in Washington, D.C. And one of the women was sharing how she's basically lost her daughter to the streets. I talked to a man. He said his daughter came home, and without even asking them, informing them, she had a pierced nose. And he started to see some change in her. And he's like, he told me, what are you doing? Why are you trying to go and be like this? Why are you see, I told those people, I said, see, y'all go to America and y'all losing y'all children. I said, now let me ask you this right here. Do you see this in the little towns and villages when you come back home in Ghana? And they say, no, not like that. No, not at all. They said the kids there in America, they don't want to listen. This is what the woman and the man said with their children. The kid, they don't want to listen. Take it from me, you know, for those who follow me, you know, my stepdaughter, she decided to go ahead and leave home. Leave home, go with her boyfriend. 12th grade. Sad, but you know what? I'm happy for her. She's got to go do what she feels that she's got to do. But she couldn't get it to the finish line. All she had to do 4 months and just listen to the rules of the house. But she said she didn't want to be parent no more. She wanted to do things her way. We are losing our children. Look, these streets is calling them. You know, it's sad because, you know, parents I know that are even living in upper middle class, higher class, are struggling with their kids, losing their kids. Drugs, pregnancy, death, diseases, crime. You know, I hear it and see it all. The link is in the chat. I'm putting a link in the chat. What do you think? Are your children going through this? Is your state off hands from the murdering and the killings the murderings and the stealing and the outburst of this, rebel mindset that's against laws. I've watched these, don't get me wrong. I'm 56 years old. We were rough around the edges too. And, like I said, things get worse. I know that my parents and them probably was saying when we were kids, man, these kids are out of control. These kids are not the way we were brought up. But I can say, man, the children are so far gone. It's sad. Mr. S said, where's the National Guard? There's no hope. There's no hope. There's no hope when you sit back and you think America's this great place. 2 of the Ghanaians have never taken their kids back here to Ghana. I said, what? One, she watches my video. So she said, one is 20 years old. The other one's 15 or so. And I'm like, you're not exposing your kids to a different way of life? How can you be from a different country and never take your children back to a more subtle, a more peaceful, where the children are not off the chain like America? How do we overlook that? That blows my mind. How do you go back to your own country but leave your children? The one sister said, well, my children, they just didn't want to go. Make them. Make your children. When did we, I was grown up. We didn't have no choices, no options. We didn't have none. You do as I say. When I say jump, you jump. When you talk back, we got popped in the mouth. When we misbehaved, we got put on punishment. When we didn't do right, we didn't get dessert. When we couldn't go outside to play, we couldn't. We had the phones, the old phones back then, and then we went to the push buttons. We couldn't call our friends. We were on punishment from the phones. You see, parents are scared of their own kids. Parents don't want to discipline their kids. Parents are trying to be friends with their kids. This is a reckless way of parenting. When the instructions told us to raise a child in the way they should go, so that when they grow old, they will not depart from the truth. Spare the rod, spoil the child. This was instructions. But that now you find people leaving Africa, going to damn America, and putting on their daggone European mindset, and then letting their children run wild, as well as the Black Americans, African Americans, the Native Americans, whatever the Americans, the FBAs and the Ottos and all of those names that we call ourselves. We have failed our children. The link is in the chat. We have failed our children. Since when does parents are afraid of kids? I've watched some of my friends, they baby their grown adults. They baby their kids. I'm like, they're freaking 24 years old, and you're telling me you're trying to run around the globe with them. You're trying to go ahead and see where they're doing, how this and that, still trying to dress them, trying to parent them. Them days are over. Well, they're your children. No, they're God's children. They were yours doing the parenting. Time is up. When are you going to go ahead and allow that child to, instead of you sitting here harboring them? What do they call that when you have a criminal in your house and you keep them from the law? What do they call that? This is what parents do. What do they call that? Accessory or something? Your accessory. You're accessory to the crime. You're accessory to the mess that's going out here in the streets. All of this mess that's going out here in the streets, you're accessory to. When did parents stop being parents? I'm watching parents in their 40s, their 50s, and they baby their grown adults. Harboring. Okay, I had it right then. Harboring. Harboring a fugitive. Thank you very much, you all. Who's that? Gmail 1, Cal Bundy, Maiden Dade. Thank you very much. But when is that? Look, these kids and young adults, they realize they are a rebel against, they're a rebel with a cause. And it's like, because they were not disciplined as children, the heck with police officers, the heck with the law. There's no consequences to their actions. I watched a video the other day in New York City, because I got at least 2 to 3 channels for every state in America so I can watch this craziness that's happening. And the police officer said the police officers was right down the block. These guys fired up the block. These guys don't even put on masks no more. They're not even scared of the cops. They're not even running no more. Look, it has gotten so far out of control. You see, even the white folks, children going, shooting up schools and killing kids, killing little kids. Brothers in the hood shooting up, killing little babies. Men killing their women and their children and themselves. Women killing their boyfriends and their children and themselves. This is reckless. The link is in the chat. Nobody gonna call in? I wonder if you're trying to call in, let me know. Because my connection ain't all that great here. What do you think? What's the resolution? How can you change this mess that's going on? Because they say if you want to know the future, look at the youth. If you want to know your future, look at the health of the youth, how healthy they are. Now, we know that majority of the student body or the young ones are trying to do right. The problem of it is that there's no morality, though. They may not go out here and commit crimes. They may not go out here and shoot up the places. But when you talk about they'll lie, they'll cheat, and they'll steal, this is the future. Look, let me say this right here. I've heard this excuse. Hold on, let me catch it right here. If you spank your child, now you can go to jail for child abuse, and that's sad. Yeah, but you know what? I didn't care. I didn't care. If my child called the school police officers to come to my house and I just do my time, I'll bail myself out. And when I see that judge, I'm going to tell the judge, Your Honor, I am exercising my religious rights to discipline my child. This is my religious rights, that it tells me that I can discipline by spanking my child. But if they want me to surrender my child over to the system, please have him or her. Have at it. But you're not going to control my house. You see, people gotten scared of the law. See, y'all don't have power. Not y'all. Some people out here, they're powerless. They're fearful. They're afraid. They don't have the Most High in their corner. See, God looks out for me. Like, what you scared of going to jail for? You had to discipline your child. So you mean to tell me that your child going to bully you in your house, tell you what to do? You mean to tell me your child going to look at you and say, I'm coming in at 2 o'clock and you ain't going to say nothing? Well, don't put your hands on them. Do what I did to 3 of them. Open the door and say, get your tail out. You can't do that because it's your baby. You can't do that because you're afraid. See, that is a big, huge problem. But here's the thing. Before it even got to that, I had to ask myself, because our children are really dealing with these peer pressures. They're all in them social medias. They're following and mimicking what they see. They're up here trying to be like, and I fought the long as I could to try to keep that mess out my house. I just had a wife, and I'm not going to try to throw mud on her, but she disagreed with me in how I was trying to leave my house and protect my children. Sometimes you don't have two parents who see eye to eye. Anyway, Enlightened 5457. How are you doing, my sister?
Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear.
Okay. I'm doing fine, my brother. This is a very good, I really like this subject because as a parent, when I was raising my children, I ran my house like this is not a democracy, it's a benevolent dictatorship.
Yeah.
But in that, I was consistent in what I expected of my children. I never talked to them in a disrespectful way, but what I said, I meant, and they knew that. And also, as they were growing up, I gave them an age-appropriate responsibility because I wanted them to understand that as you get older, there's going to be more responsibility. And that one day you're going to be responsible for taking care of yourself. Because I told them, I'm not taking care of no adults. I'm not going to do that. And you have to be responsible.
How many kids you got?
I have two. They are 46 and 45.
So they're out on their own taking care of themselves.
Two.
Yeah, they're out on taking care of themselves.
Yes, they're taking care of themselves. But that's what I expected of them. When they were like 50 and a half, they had to get a part-time job because I want them to understand that I want them to understand what the importance of money. And that gives them a sense of self-worth, them working. I expected that for them to do that. And I remember my daughter, when she was like 16 or 17, she had a friend that lived down the street from us. And she said that her friend didn't have to work. And so my daughter said, well, I ain't going to work. And she quit her job. I said, if you can be without any money, I could see you without any money. I didn't give her a dime. She was out of work for 1 month, and she ain't been out of work since. She worked 2 jobs, both my son and daughter. I didn't play that. And that's what parents do now. They baby their children. They're not preparing them for life after them. They're making them dependent. That's not the way life is supposed to be. And I used to tell my children, you don't get to pimp me past 18. And I meant that. I mean, and so that's what I'm thankful that they are very responsible. They're, loving parents. But I was that kind of parent that I expected. And when they crossed the line, they got the cross. I didn't play that. I was very loving.
Hold 1 second, Enlighten. Hold 1 second. Aaliyah, you're gonna have to show your face while you're in the back room. You can put it back off once I see who you are. But Aaliyah, you're gonna have to show your face real quick so I can make sure there's no hackers or anything like that that's gonna be putting some crazy stuff up. Okay, I see you. You can turn it back off now if you like. Okay. Yeah. So let's pass the mic over here to Leah.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. What's your thoughts on this today? Do you have any children? Things that have gotten better or worse for as you've grown up in the? I'm taking you're in America.
Yes, I'm in America. And I don't have any children. I'm actually from the generation Gen Z. So I thought my perspective on that outtake of the situation. So personally, for me growing up in this generation that some people refer to the lost generation, my generation is the most depressed generation. And so when we think about life, we don't tend to care about life. And therefore, when we don't care about life.
What's your age?
I am 20.
You're 20.
Yes, 22.
Okay, well, yeah, we can learn a few things from you. So you said y'all the depressed generation. Why y'all depressed generation?
It just very much feels like the world has all these problems and these issues, and nobody wants to step forward to try to do anything about it. And so, like,
What problems
there,
and issues does the world have?
so for example, we all know about global warming. We know that my generation is very passionate about it and trying to put together like environmentalists to try to fix the situation. The disparities when it comes for women of color, and specifically within America, and the fact that we are known to die the most when giving birth, as well as our babies are more likely to die. Trying to fix that disparity, but people still pushing back on us. And then with the fact that the police officers, like, of course, in media, the only thing that we see is that, oh, where they're killing our black people, they're killing our young black men. And it's like, okay, well, what are we going to do to stop it? But then it's like, at the end of the day, it's almost like our generation is giving up. And it's like, well, if we're going to die anyway, let's go out in a blaze of glory. And it's very kind of sad to see,
Let me
because,
ask you
like,
this right here.
yeah,
Were you raised by both parents?
I was raised by a single mother.
Single mother. Okay. And were you able to make it through high school without criminal action, pregnancy, anything like most of the things like that?
Yes, sir. I am currently in my master's program. I graduated from college early.
Okay. And so you're saying that you feel as though that the people your generation, because you say you're 20,
22. Yes.
22, you're 22, that that it's a depressed generation because of so much going on. Would you say that's like confusion? There's a lot of confusion going on.
Yes, I would.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you
Um,
think it would take to turn this thing around where we see that the young adults today, like you said, you know, they don't care. You know, they don't. There's no fear. How does one turn that around?
that's honestly what we're trying to figure out right now.
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
so my major is sociology. So this is what I do. I study society. So it's very much one of the things that they're trying to think about is figuring out a way to fix the disconnect between the older generation and the new generation, because they believe that if they can do that, then they can make the younger generation realize like this life is more than what you think it is. Um, but I want to like narrow down the focus to specifically within the Black community. So I feel like, and this, in my personal opinion, I feel like within the Black community is very hard for the younger generation to connect to the older generation, because I feel like the older generation went through a lot more like trials. Um, they had to face a lot more hardships. So when the younger generation expresses like, oh, well, I think this is hard, or I'm going through this, it's oftentimes not taken at its value, because the older generation felt like, well, I've gone through this and this is nothing in face of that. So why can't you get past this, or why can't you understand it?
Enlightened. Do you think that back then when you were coming up, you was it harder, you think, than for what the youth are going through today?
When you say
Enlightened.
today's youth, are you speaking of Generation Alpha, or are you speaking of my own generation?
I'm talking about Alpha, Z
Mhm.
generation. Um, but I was asking enlightened. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can't hear. No, I can't hear her. I'm asking her.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. So you made mention of your children are in their 40s, and Aaliyah just made mention that the elders who may have had a harder struggle trying to, I guess, when you kind of look at how we came up and now what they come up, would you say it's harder that they're going through, whether it was your children's, than what you went through, and now it's harder for what they're going through today, the youth today?
I think that as far as when I was growing up, um, my mother and father, they got divorced when I was like 10 years old. And so my mother had 4 children. My
Yeah.
mother got married when she was like 15 or 16, and neither one of them graduated from high school. Okay. She had 4 children. And then I remember when I was like a freshman, she went and went to what's called the Goodwill Industries, and she went to get her GED, and then she went to get her bachelor's degree in social work, and then she got her master's degree, and then she retired as the state coordinator for child protection of Indianapolis, Indiana. But when she was raising us, it was hard. All of us had part-time jobs working. And about that time, we was making like $1.60 an hour. But that's what we wanted to do because we wanted to earn our own money. We wanted to help. And what my mother only required of us when we were to work during the summers, that just take your money and buy your school clothes. That's helped her. We didn't have to give her anything, but we worked and we did chores at home too. And we went to school. So we did all of that. And
Yeah.
so that's the way I was raised. And so when I had my children and their father and I, we got divorced, but he still was in their life. He paid child support, but they lived with me. So they kind of had they had two types of living. With their father, they kind of when they would go visit him, they were like in the middle class. And then with me, I was in a low income housing. But I went to school. After I went to school later on and went to college, but I still worked. But they understood, and what I taught them that they
Yeah.
would have to work, that life is not easy, and that you're going to have to struggle. Sometimes you have to learn how to eat bologna when you got bologna money and eat steak when you got steak money. But you're going to have to know how to handle this life, and it's not going to always be peaches and cream. So I wanted to that's what parents' job is to prepare your children for life and let them know that no, it's not going to always be peace, and you have to sacrifice for what you want. If you want something, you're going to have to sacrifice for something. I remember my
Yeah.
daughter when
You
she
know,
moved
well,
out.
let me cut you short. Let me cut you short, Light, because I'm gonna pass the mic. First and foremost, let me say thank you for that. First and foremost, but Malcolm, you're gonna have to show your face. If you don't, I just need to see who you are in the background. Then you can go ahead and put back over your thing there. Okay, I see you. I see you. So you can shut it back off if you don't want to be seen. Let me ask you, Aaliyah. Let me ask you. When you did you have responsibilities growing? I know we had chores. We had to get a job at 16. These were tools to, build us and getting us prepared for going out here in the world, and having that sense of responsibility, having, we were obligated for certain things that that was put before us. So Leah, I mean, does your friends or many of them did they work? Did they have to do things around the house, or was held to certain responsibilities around the house?
So personally, I had to do chores around the house, and I also had a job at 16. Um, as for my best friend, she did chores around the house, but she was not like forced to get a job. If she wanted a job, then she knows she can go and get one. Um, I believe she had her first job when she was 18. However, I very much like as what was previously shared, I got a job to help out my mom, simply because I wanted to be able to do that for her. So it was very much like ever since then, I always made sure to hold a steady job. Um, But when comparing my experience with my friend experience, I don't think that there's like any difference in how we came out. Like she is, well, maybe she's a little bit less responsible than me.
Maybe just a little bit. But let me pass the mic to Malcolm. Malcolm, how's you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. How would you like to add to this? What is your thoughts? How old are you? Were you raised with both parents? And do you think it's getting worse when it comes to the young adults today?
So I'm 28 years old. I grew up and was raised by both my parents. I grew up in a town called Colorado Springs in Colorado.
Yep, I used to live there for 4 years.
Yeah, and so my opinion is it's getting worse. I think for these past few generations, it's been seen that that Black progress has just been cosmetic and it hasn't been real and substantial. And the reason why a lot of even middle class, upper middle class, rich Black families are having trouble, I can say with my own family, my family is mostly from the South in Georgia, but my uncle is a doctor. My aunt is a president of a college. Their kids were in education, grew up in full households, mom and dad, stable, non-chaotic, Christian, the whole 9 yards. And my cousin, she has 2 children out of wedlock, went to college, dropped out. Her sister had another child. She finished college, but had a child out of wedlock. My cousin, my uncle's youngest daughter, has a lot of mental health issues. I just found out she dropped out of college. And right now, currently with my own situation, I just moved back home because I wasn't able to afford the rent where I was staying. And I haven't lived back home since I was 18.
You was living in Colorado Springs, or you living out of the state or city?
I was living out of state. And
where were you?
I was in Arizona, and
okay.
I'm in a place where I didn't want to, have a roommate and do all those things because I hadn't had that since I was in college. And even though it was a lot more feasible for me to live out there, I wasn't getting paid what I was worth. I'm in education. I have my bachelor's degree in education, my master's in education. And it just was like every time I've been out there about 2 years. I tried to advance myself. It was like something happened, something was going on. So for me, I just kind of just decided, you know what, I'm just going to come back home and restart. But I was just having a conversation with my dad last night over dinner, and he's around your age. My parents are 57. So he was saying now, even we live in a neighborhood, the apartments next to my parents' neighborhood is twice their mortgage. So I really couldn't even afford to live here, even if I wanted to. So now I'm kind of like, I have a job out here that pays really well now, but now I'm like, dang, how am I going to afford to live out here? So it's just kind of like every time, I can only speak for Black America, wherever we are in the nation, that every time we do make these strides to succeed, it's like we get another slap in the face. Like now, I'm still paying off my student loans, and my parents were able to pay out of their own pocket. I didn't get scholarships or a Pell Grant or anything.
Let me ask you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let me ask you because I want to kind of get back to this point that I was trying to make. And that you say you're 28 years old.
Yes.
You're 28 years old. What about your peers? What are your peers doing? I mean, as far as, because, are most of your peers at 28 to 30 reckless? Are they out here just having fun, living with moms and dads, or living with mom or dad? And yet, what we see Chicago, what we seeing now is that, like you made mention of some of your cousins, come from a distinguished family, but chose to go a different route than what their parents did. And yet, seem like everybody wants to be hood.
To be honest, for me, I always kept that part separate. I never really hung out with that type of crowd. but I know my cousins do. And so, well, the female cousins, I know they do. So I know that that's probably the situation that has happened, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you, it's in my opinion, it's challenging for. I'm gonna hit with you, Aaliyah. I got my daughters are 24 and 23, and I just did a FaceTime with my oldest daughter, the 24-year-old. She'll be 25 in July, and you know, she had her hairs in a braid, but yet it was the tan brown or whatever, and I'm like, what made you decide to go with that color? And that's because she's really neutral in a sense, but I'm like, what made you decide to go ahead and to color, or she says not color, but she added hair in her head. But I said, how far are you going to go with it? Is it going to be the nose ring? Because I know that now the big thing is the nose, what they call that, where it goes through one nostril and another, you know. You start to see now tattoos being put on, layered on. And so, Aaliyah, I mean, you think the peer pressure is pretty hard for the young ladies as well? I mean, because young men seem like that they're gravitating towards more of the, you know, reckless crime side of the house. But then the young ladies, to me, in my opinion, is like all want to dress like, be like, talk like that strong Black woman, feminist woman. Do you feel that being 22?
It's funny that you said that because me and my best friend talk about this a lot. So, I would say like among people my age right now who I have ties with, no. But I will say growing up, like when I was in high school, the big thing, it was very much like pressure for the girls to want, as they would refer to as a hood dude, for some reason. But I think it was just based off of like this idea that if you wanted to get out of the neighborhood that you were currently living in, you needed money, and the quickest way to get that money was to find someone who was slinging dope because that was your way out.
Mm-hmm.
So in high school, it was more of that pressure. Now, though, there isn't. In fact, I would say there's opposite pressure where it's like, well, what do you want to do with your life? Do you want to go and get a job or do you want a family? That's the kind of pressure that women right now who I have ties with are facing. And it's like making that decision.
So the so you know, what's interesting what you said was the slinging dope. You know, most of these guys don't leave the hood slinging dope. They're not going into the middle class. These jokers are staying right in the hoods. I don't see why. Well, I know, baby, because the women can get that money, buy their Gucci's or buy their whatever they want to buy. But did you find that, you know, many of your friends who went that route, how are they doing today? Did they get out of the hood? Did they get out of the hood?
I can't say. Oh, sorry.
You can't say?
Oh, I thought I heard someone else talking. Okay, so I can't say if they did or not because I'm no longer in contact with them, but just from their social media, I know that a lot of them have children or they are now have OnlyFans or strippers.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing here today, I guess. You know, that's a big thing here today. The let me put out here for those who want to call in, the link is in the chat. Jay, it looks like your device is not connected. Jay Harbrook, your device is not connected. Nor Dre Oz, your device is not connected. If you all come in, please show your face when you are in the back room, so that I can at least make sure that there's no hack or whatever. Jay, I do see you. If you want to close off your screen, you can. I'm gonna bring you in. Thank you very much. I'm gonna go ahead and say farewell to you, Enlighten, and Leah, and Malcolm. I appreciate you all's view. I'm gonna bring some more people in. Jay Harbrook.
Hey, brother, what's up?
What's good with you?
I like your content. I like your content. I've been following you from Africa. I've been following you from different part of the region. Me and you got a whole lot in common.
Okay, brother. So
We
man,
got
what do you think
all.
about this new black community, man? These the young the young adults today. You know, we're seeing this now. We thought it was just gangbangers in the hood and this, you know, who's shooting up, bang bang, and stealing. Now we seeing that there's the collection of young adults who are out here, you know, going in the stores, stealing, now causing disruptive takeover cities and jumping on cars, being, you know, criminal. What's your take on that?
Well, my thing is, I saw a trend. I'm 54,
Okay.
and I saw a trend back in the 70s. The trend I saw when I was in Memphis, Tennessee, from a stepdad, a mom, and the way that I saw my grandmother and grandfather, they both were married to both of them parents, and I saw the strong bondage. But for the younger generation, what I'm looking at now is what the most of the sister nowadays, they didn't tell us the truth. What I mean about that, the thing they was doing back in the day, it come back to the younger generation. If a young kid back in the day, you know what I'm saying, asked them a certain question, what go ahead on, but look at what they was doing, how they was out there, strong, real strong. You and I both know this here. They were real strong out there. Now the younger generation today, now you ask them a question, mama or daddy, what, boy, well, you know, I wouldn't do that. But see, now you want to be all holy now. You want to be all holy now. Instead of telling the children, well, I was out there, I know I did wrong. I was out there messing with this guy and messing with that guy and this and that and stuff like that. Now, all of a sudden, now you see these kids out here, they're wearing half naked, especially when you go to Walmart here in Houston, Texas. They half naked. They don't care. Then we got a situation in our own community when we didn't tell the young people the truth. That's what hurts. If they go in one of these stores, like now some of these stores out here thotting. I mean, they thotting hard, bro. They don't care. You say anything to them, they'll cuss you out. Yeah. So for the generation concerned, all this coming up, all this stuff coming about, it speaks and said all this is gonna come about. If they had told the truth back then, because like I said, my grandmother and grandfather, he was a father of 10 kids. He ain't got no outside kid. My grandfather never had no outside kid. He couldn't read a lick at all because he was born in 1920. My grandma born in 1919. And for me to understand for what they was doing and give me that strong bondage, because you got to remember, on my father's side of the family, I come from a military side of the family. And on my mother's side of the family, I came from the police side of the family. So for me to take a glimpse in both worlds and see the other thing from out of that world and saw a trend that was coming, I didn't like the thing I was seeing. I didn't like it.
How many kids you got?
Oh, I got 2 kids and I raised them up by myself.
Raised them by yourself. Are they productive adults in society today?
Oh, they both working. We real close. They call me every day if they need some kind of advice. I give them the advice. I tell them 32 and 33.
32, 33.
Right. They're a year apart. One born in 88 and the other born in 89.
Nah, 88, 89. Okay, all right, yeah, because mine was born in 98 and 99. So yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, my thing was, unfortunately for me, I had a good, strong male figure around me. Yeah. And I learned a lot. I seen a lot. But what I see today is frightening, is scary. Because most of our people, not all our people, they in a situation where some of them feel like there's no hope. They tired, they weary. Some of them need good discipline and guidance.
Some good discipline, guidance, and love.
Yeah, and so fortunately, like they got something coming out here about this Nick Freak thing. A lot of sisters, they scared back in the 90s. But you was doing all these things, but when your kids today ask you what you was doing, now you tell them all this back in the past, back in the day, but your past come back and to bite you. And I don't like seeing our young youths out here, man, I mean, getting slaughtered they getting slaughtered every day. And fortunately, like I said, I follow your contents. I follow it faithfully. I like what you do. I like what you say. I like how you put it out. Some of us, brother, and you have to admit this to yourself, some of us ain't gonna make it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
And I mean, it's like I like your contents. I like Brother Phil Scott content. I like Sister K content. Man, y'all be putting it down for real. I mean, y'all don't leave no stone unturned at all.
Well, I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate your words, man. And peace and blessings to you and your children, man. Good to see, man, a brother, man, who's definitely got a good relationship with his children. So thanks a lot, brother.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
All right. Yeah, family, Kale, I see that you're in the back room. Please show your face, and then you can go ahead and shut off your camera if you like. But I just need to make sure that this is a real human that's actually calling in to chime in on this subject. What do you all think? I love it when our youth just called in, those who were in their 20s, because the youth can let us know how they feel. I mean, we really need to get down to some of the nitty-gritty, because I know there's a lot of pain out there. I know there's a lot of hurting youth out here, young adults that out here, I know the young adults, they trying to figure it out, like a young lady, Aaliyah, said that, they get out here and it's like, their mindset is more or less like, oh, well, who cares? Nobody cares. I don't care. And whatever happens, happens. And, I think that it's time for us to have the conversations as elders with our youth and listen to the young adults, those in their 30s, young 30s and their 20s on down to teenagers, because there's a lot of hurt and pain going on. And typically, because of, parents having children younger and younger, it's almost like, who wants to listen to somebody who probably dress like, talk like, and act like themselves? Being a teenager, your mama and daddy might be only 14, 15, 16 years older than you, and they still clubbing. You might be bumping into your parent in the club. It's the day that we live in, to where I see even the young parents in their 30s have not crossed over the mountaintop of being adults, to where they're now giving up the childish things of life and now move on to the mature things in life. The link is in the chat for you all. Love to hear some more from the young ones to educate us to see what's going on. Why is it that our young adults now are becoming more reckless, careless? Why is it that we see that the younger they get, they don't want to be parented. They don't want to be told what to do. I mean, I know I was the same way. I think all of us at teenage, we want to do it ourselves, figure it out, but we don't realize, how this world really is. I remember taking my kids. My son even reminded me, even my daughters, I've taken them. I'd take them to the hoods. I would take them to the hoods and say, these are the decisions, a lot of them made. Some didn't make no bad decision. They just got caught up in the mix of their parents making bad decisions. And a lot don't have way outs. But when you try to press upon using the society as a teacher, as the lesson, we got to wake our children up. We got to take them to the Skid Rows, even though they might see it on TV. We got to personally let them talk to these folks, talk to these youth out on the street that are homeless, talk to the ones that are strung out on drugs, because it's real out here. It's real out here. And when I see what happened in Chicago, when I see what happened in Alabama, when I'm seeing what happened to all these states, man, the crime is getting worse. The young adults are off the chain. I can't say all, but I'm talking about in the Black community, there is a high percentage of us who are following a lie, following the Hollywood, following the music industry, when that's not even us, when it's not even you. We followed the lie that has cost us dearly in the sector of the community. So many young boys and young men want to be like these rappers. So many of the young girls want to be like these fans only, or these yippity yapping feminists, females out here, that it's destroying our youth. And our parents are not educating our children. They're not educating and teaching at all. Well, I'm not going to say at all. There's got to be a better way. What's up there, Andre?
What's good, man? What's good?
Peace and blessings to you, brother. What's good? What you got for me tonight? What's your thoughts?
As a parent, of Generation X, Gen X, right? And I got a few kids. I got a few kids, it's Gen Z, and I think the biggest problem is we need to bridge the gap between between generations, because nobody listening. Okay? We're not hearing them, they're not hearing us. And in return, they're depressed, they're frustrated because they see how the world is, and it's too much of a disconnect. Like in my household, we try to listen to our kids, and because if we just listen, we can find out, where their mindset's at. But too many of us from our generation, Gen X, we like disconnect from them, because a lot of us are scared of them. You know what I mean? Just to keep it real. A lot of us, we don't know how to connect, and we got to a point now where we see them and we just afraid, because these same kids that are out here killing, they're the same ones that are blowing head with, right? So we had a mindset already that they in trouble, and the kids, they sense that fear or that disconnect, so they're acting out. They're afraid, they're bad, they're depressed all at the same time. And then to make it worse, they turn to drugs and not just weed, you know what I'm saying? So you put all that together and there's a big disconnect, you know what I mean? And I feel that could be avoided more if we had listened to what they have to say. And then they listen to us. You see what I'm saying? But I think that's the problem. Nobody listens to each other. And as a result, we see the proof of the pudding every day. Yo.
All right. Yeah, my internet here, man, is terrible, man.
I get it. It's cool.
Yeah. So I missed part of what you were saying as far as you said. How many kids you got?
I got three. I got a 28-year-old, 28-year-old, 17-year-old, 15, all girls.
Whoa,
And
all girls.
and especially with girls, it's very important to listen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because one thing that my wife helped me understand more, that we don't listen to our kids. What happens is they go out and get advice elsewhere.
Yeah.
And the advice they get elsewhere is going to be from their peers or, people they look up to that's slightly older than them. and they don't give them bad advice. Like for example, okay, my middle daughter, right? She's 17. Puts my husband who she works, you know what I mean? And the person she works with, slightly older, about 25, right? With 5 kids. So she's trying to give, my daughter bad advice. But because she's so grounded, she's like, no, that don't sound right. First of all, okay, she tried to get my daughter to, get high with her at her job during a break. You know what I'm saying? But I was like, no, I ain't gonna get high. You know what I'm saying? I'm weird.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and just that. And then she says to my daughter, she says that, well, how you gonna know anything? If your parents do everything for you, you ain't gonna know nothing in life. You know what I'm saying? And to an extent, but at the same time, this girl was 25 years old with 5 kids. So that says right there that nobody's listening to this. Nobody listened to that girl when she was 14, 15, 16, you know what I mean? So she got older and made bad decisions. 'Cause, like, one thing about it, if you don't talk to these kids, then, they don't talk to somebody else, and then they don't get bad advice and all that. And, and next thing is next, you know what I'm saying? So I think the biggest thing, again, man, we need to listen to what these kids gotta say. And then say kids, if we not related to another, we have to stop being afraid of reaching out to these kids. A lot of adults our age, we got scared. We got scary, man. We watch the news so much and we get traumatized with what we see on TV and we see the age of all these kids, what they're doing. So we already had a mindset they trouble. And like I said, they can sense that, you know what I mean? They can sense that fear. So the respect thing ain't there, not because of age, but I feel because of fear. And we just gotta listen to what they gotta say, man. And stop being so judgmental. You know what I mean? 'Cause a lot of the old generations, we kind of judgmental. A lot of us actually became what our parents were. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day. So as a result, you know what I'm saying? It's a bigger disconnect. So I just feel we just pay attention to what they saying. Because like I say, if we as parents don't give them sound advice, they don't give bad advice elsewhere. That's how I feel. Yo. On podcast.
All right. So what I'm gonna do is, because this is rainy season, and it's going in and out. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this to an end. But I appreciate you coming in, Andre, and peace and blessings to you, your family. Good, always good to see black men and black women come together, being holding it down in marriage to be able to raise these children in the rightful way. We know it's not perfect out here. We know sometimes that there are breakups and things just does not happen the way it want to, that one would want it to. But I'm saying this in closing, man and woman, we have to get to a place. We have to get to a place to be able to raise our children in a right, healthy environment. And that environment is your household. It's the household, because when they walk out the front door, they hit the world. So I'm saying that whether you are in a dysfunctional relationship with your ex or with your baby's daddy, your baby's mama, you have to think about the children, because the youth are screaming out. They are lost. They have no one to turn to, and they're getting advice from each other. Elders, reach out to a youth, speak into their life, speak positivity so that something wakes up within them in order to change them and put them on the righteous course that they rightfully deserve. With that, family, this is your man, not your boy. Go Black to Africa. I'm out, y'all.